In the first months of the Civil War, Missouri was not a quiet border state. It was a prize. Missouri controlled river routes, manpower, food, minerals, and access across the Mississippi Valley. If it slipped into the Confederacy, the Union's western position became weaker overnight. If it stayed in the Union, Southern strategy in the Trans-Mississippi had to fight uphill from the start. That is why the Battle of Wilson's Creek matters. It was fought on August 10, 1861, about 10 to 12 miles southwest of Springfield. The Southerners often called it Oak Hills. The National Park Service identifies it as a bitter struggle for control of Missouri in the first year of the war. This was the first major Civil War battle west of the Mississippi River. It was also where the first Union general was killed in combat. But if this story is reduced to one dead general, it misses the point. Wilson's Creek was a battle about Missouri's allegiance, a risky two-column attack, a broken flank, and a tactical victory that still failed to settle the state. When the war began, most Missourians did not want to choose a side quickly. Neutrality had broad appeal, but neutrality was not the same as stability. Governor Claiborne Fox Jackson held strong Southern sympathies. After President Lincoln called for troops to suppress the rebellion, Missouri was asked to supply 4 regiments. Jackson refused. In St. Louis, the federal arsenal became the immediate problem. If pro-Southern state forces seized it, Missouri could tip fast. The arsenal commander, Captain Nathaniel Lyon, moved aggressively. NPS says Lyon had many of the weapons secretly moved to Illinois. Then, on May 10th, he marched thousands of men to Camp Jackson and forced its surrender. That move helped secure the arsenal. It also sharpened the crisis inside Missouri. By June, Lyon was a brigadier general. A meeting with Governor Jackson failed. Lyon moved up the Missouri River, captured Jefferson City, and pushed Jackson's forces west after Boonville. The fight for Missouri was no longer theoretical. Wilson's Creek was not a random battle in a field. It was the moment Missouri's political crisis became a military crisis, and the West got its first major Civil War battlefield. By mid-July, Lyon was camped at Springfield. NPS puts his force at about 6,000 soldiers. Missouri infantry, Iowa infantry, Kansas infantry, regular army companies, cavalry, and artillery. It was a mixed force, holding a dangerous forward position. Southwest of him, Sterling Price was gathering the Missouri State Guard. Price was joined by Confederate troops under Benjamin McCulloch and Arkansas troops under Bart Pearce. By late July, NPS says the Southern coalition exceeded 12,000 men. Lyon was outnumbered. On July 31st, the Southern commanders began moving northeast. Lyon tried to surprise them first, fighting their advance at Doug Springs on August 2nd. The action showed him the basic truth. He did not have enough men to comfortably hold Springfield against the coalition coming toward him. So he pulled back to Springfield. By August 6th, Southern forces were camped near Wilson Creek. Both sides now wanted the same thing: attack first. On August 9th, both armies formed attack plans. McCulloch, who held overall command of the Southern coalition, planned to move against Lyon, but rain on the night of the 9th helped cancel the Southern operation. That mattered, because Lyon had decided to take the risk anyway. He left about 1,000 men to guard supplies in Springfield and marched out with about 5,400. His plan depended on surprise. He divided the force into 2 columns. Lyon would lead the main body from the north. Colonel Franz Sigel would take roughly 1,200 men in a wide sweep to the south, strike the Southern rear, and help trap the enemy camps between 2 Union forces. On a map, the plan had logic. On a battlefield, it had a weakness. If the 2 columns lost contact, Lyon and Sigel would be fighting separate battles against a larger enemy. Around 5 in the morning on August 10th, Lyon's attack began. At first, surprise worked. Southern cavalry received the first blow and fell back. Lyon's main column pushed toward a ridge that would become known as Bloody Hill. To the south, Sigel's artillery opened near the Sharp Farm. His fire struck a Southern camp that included cavalry, unarmed state guardsmen, and camp followers. Men scattered into the woods. Sigel saw chaos and believed his part of the plan was working. For the first hour, Lyon's gamble looked dangerous, but not foolish. The Southern commanders had been caught off guard. McCulloch and Price rushed toward the sound of battle. Price's Missouri State Guard began moving toward Bloody Hill. Confederate and Arkansas units tried to stabilize the line. Then, the battle hardened. At about 6 a.m., Lyon's men crested Bloody Hill. The Pulaski, Arkansas battery opened fire and slowed the Union advance. Price's infantry formed on the southern slope. What had started as a surprise attack became a close-range fight for the ridge. Bloody Hill earned its name honestly. The fighting there lasted for more than 5 hours. Southern forces attacked Lyon's position 3 times. The Union line bent, absorbed the assaults, and fired back from the crest. This was not the clean maneuver battle Lyon had hoped for. It became a test of ammunition, heat, smoke, command, and nerve. The August weather mattered. Men fell from exhaustion as well as bullets. Black powder smoke reduced visibility. Units fired at shapes through the haze. Orders moved slowly, if they moved at all. And while Lyon was holding Bloody Hill, his second column was coming apart. Sigel's morning began with success. His artillery threw the Southern rear into panic. He took prisoners. He believed he was seeing McCulloch's army being pushed south by Lyon. That belief was fatal. Sigel deployed poorly and left his column exposed. When troops approached from the woods, he mistook them for friendly forces. Early in the war, uniforms were not standardized. Some Union troops wore gray. Some Confederate troops wore colors that did not fit the later blue versus gray memory. According to the American Battlefield Trust account, some of Sigel's men thought the gray uniformed troops emerging near them might be from the 1st Iowa, which had companies wearing gray. They were not friendly. McCulloch's men opened fire at close range. Sigel hesitated. His men were surprised. The column collapsed. Some fled toward Springfield. Sigel himself barely avoided capture. The southern half of Lyon's plan was gone. Sigel did not lose because the plan had no logic. He lost because battlefield logic died in smoke, uniforms, bad assumptions, and a larger enemy moving faster than he understood. Back on Bloody Hill, Lyon still did not know the full disaster. Price's men attacked again around 9s. The assault nearly broke the Union center. The fight was close and ugly, with men firing from standing, kneeling, and lying positions as smoke thickened across the ridge. Lyon had already been wounded. He had been hit in the leg and grazed on the head. NPS and ABT accounts both emphasized that he remained in the fight, trying to reposition troops and hold the line together. At about 9:30, Lyon rode forward to rally men near the center. He was hit in the chest and killed. Command passed to Major Samuel D. Sturgis. Lyon's death was a shock, but the Union line did not immediately collapse. That is important. The men on Bloody Hill continued fighting. Sturgis kept the defense together through another Southern assault. At about 10:30, the third and largest Southern attack came up the hill. It failed, too. The Southern Army had won Sigel's sector and killed Lyon, but it still had not broken the main Union line. Sturgis now had to make the decision commanders hate. He held the ground, but the position was dying. The men were exhausted. Ammunition was nearly gone. Casualties were heavy. There was no useful word from Sigel because Sigel's column had been routed. Sturgis could stay on Bloody Hill and risk losing the army, or he could withdraw while the army still existed. He chose withdrawal. Around 11:00 to 11:30, Union forces pulled back toward Springfield. The battle was over. The Southern coalition held the field. But holding the field was not the same as destroying Lyon's army. McCulloch's and Price's men were disorganized, short on supplies, and in no shape for an effective pursuit. NPS notes that although the Southerners won tactically, they could not seize the full advantage victory might have given them. The casualty totals vary by source. American Battlefield Trust lists 2,330 estimated casualties. An NPS brief account lists 1,317 federal losses and 1,222 Southern losses. Other official battle detail pages use a lower Confederate number. For production purposes, the honest statement is this: Wilson's Creek produced over 2,000 casualties in a single August morning, and the losses were severe for both sides. The human detail is even sharper at the Ray house. The Ray family lived near the battlefield. NPS says the Ray house is the only surviving dwelling from the battle. During the fight, the family sheltered in the cellar. Afterward, their home became a field hospital for Southern soldiers. Lyon's body was brought there and laid out. Roxana Ray supplied a counterpane, or bedspread, to cover him. That is the scale of the war in Missouri. State politics, armies, and a family house turned into a hospital before noon. Wilson's Creek gave the Southern coalition the field, but not Missouri. Lyon lost the battle and his life, yet the state remained in Union hands. That is the hard, strange math of this fight. The aftermath stretched far beyond the battlefield. The victory buoyed Southern sympathizers in Missouri. Sterling Price pushed north and captured the Union garrison at Lexington. Southwestern Missouri came under Southern influence, but Missouri did not leave the Union. That is the central irony. Lyon's battlefield gamble failed tactically. He died. His army retreated. The Southern coalition won the day. But Lyon's broader objective, keeping Missouri from being cleanly pulled into the Confederacy, survived him. The war in Missouri became bitter and irregular. NPS describes the state as the scene of savage fighting, much of it guerrilla warfare, for the next 3.5 years. Later, after the Union victory at Pea Ridge in March 1862, large organized Confederate forces were kept out of Missouri for more than 2 years. So Wilson's Creek belongs early in this series for the same reason Bull Run does. It shattered assumptions. Bull Run showed that the war in the East would not be short. Wilson's Creek showed that the West would not be secondary, simple, or clean. On August 10, 1861, the Southern coalition won at Wilson's Creek. Nathaniel Lyon became the first Union general killed in combat. Franz Sigel's column became a warning about divided attacks and battlefield confusion. Bloody Hill became the proof that a tactical position can hold and still become untenable. And Missouri became what it had already been threatening to become: a contested borderland where politics, loyalty, slavery, guerrilla violence, and military campaigns would grind against each other for the rest of the war. Wilson's Creek did not decide Missouri. It made clear that Missouri would have to be fought over.